Hey, hey, what's up, world changers? We just have a song for you in dedication to our good friend and special guest, Todd Falcone.
This makes me want to get a margarita.
Yeah, everything's going to be all right. Hey, if you guys would, drop a comment. Let us know you can hear us and see us loud and clear. And
yeah, I'm super excited, because there's so much wisdom that's going to come out at us. Hopefully you could hear me above the music.
You can hear.
Yeah.
Loud and clear.
Awesome, awesome.
So I was looking up, I just felt like listening to Bob Marley today. And I was looking up a few songs while we were getting ready. And then I sent a message to our good friend who's going to be joining us in just a minute. I said, what's your favorite band? Because I wanted to bring him on with a song. He said Bob Marley.
Oh, man. Intuition.
So good. So why don't we, we'll give it a minute. Welcome you guys to jump on. I know we've got some messages. Some people are at meetings tonight. They're going to catch the replay. So hopefully they registered so they can get the replay. And let us bring on our good friend, Mr. Todd Falcone, and we'll give him an introduction here shortly. We just want to make sure technology is working. So let's see if we got him. I would introduce ourselves, but you're on the webinar because you're one of our clients. So you should already know who we are, unless you're on here illegally. If you're on here illegally, then we're going to have a talk about that. What's up, brother?
What's going on?
Uh-oh. Can we hear you?
I don't know. Can you?
All right.
I hear you loud and clear.
We're good.
Loud and clear.
What's your favorite songs, or what's your favorite Bob Marley song?
My favorite, there's too many, but Misty Morning, Who the Cap Fits.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. All of them.
all good stuff. Well, let me, everybody on the line should know who you are, but just in case they don't, we'll give it a minute before we get started. But I am super pumped to welcome our good buddy, Todd Falcone. Todd is an industry leader, top trainer, and he's also the author of this amazing book right here, Fearless Networking. And Todd, I love how simple you make it, bro. You don't overcomplicate things. And my absolute favorite thing about you is you actually have a sense of humor. Praise God.
You can't live without a sense of humor.
No, man. If it's too serious, it's just not worth it. Some people are texting me, said they registered. They're not getting the link, but that's why you don't register 60 seconds.
They'll get the link. It will automatically send it over to them, and they'll be able to hop on.
Oh, wow. So it's 6:01. So let me just, again, for those that don't know Todd speaks on stages all over the world. You just got back from a trip. I'm excited to hear about it. I think you got to actually see some real pyramids. And he speaks on stages all over the world. What also impresses me as a trainer is that he's built 6 companies to multiple 6 figures. So the man knows what he's doing. And I just have to do some housekeeping, Todd. I take notes on this, and also my questions are on here. So if you think I'm not texting, I'm looking at the questions because we've got, okay, he's out of here.
Thanks, Adam.
All right, let's hear the real story. What's up with the lava lamp?
I love it.
I see that in all your training videos.
I don't know. I mean, I've got Bob Marley hanging on the wall.
Oh, nice.
My lava lamp. I always got candles burning. I was gonna have a little bit of tie dye over here, So
you have the incense too.
What else is burning?
What's funny is I have incense burning as we speak. So
awesome.
Speaking of Bob Marley, I don't know if we got time for this story, but we left my dad's birthday the other day with some baked brownies that my grandma made in the car, and we pulled up to a stop sign, and there was a homeless guy. We didn't have anything in the car but the brownies in a baggie, and he got so excited we gave him brownies, but I think he was expecting a little bit more in return. But anyway.
Kind of brownie or something, I guess, huh?
Yeah.
Anyway.
We would have kept those.
So, Michelle, do you have another announcements before we kick off?
Let's go ahead and kick it off because I think he has a wealth of knowledge, and the time is going to go by so fast. So we want to give as much value to everyone that's on here that's going to be catching it on the replay. So let's just go ahead and get started. Okay, so just so you guys also know, there is a tab for questions, but we would actually prefer if you guys typed them in the chat box because it's easier for us to see. We don't have to go back and forth. So you typed a question in the question box, put it in the chat box. There's also a fun poll just for fun if you got time for that later. And then there's also a couple links for Todd. He's going to talk about how to get his new book
And,
Wow.
assuming it's free because that's what I hope that didn't go a hole there. And then the biggest mistakes, there's also a link that Sir Todd, for those who know your whole story, just give us like a few minutes of just a little bit of background, even talk about your family a little bit, but your overall involvement in the network marketing profession so these guys know who they're listening to tonight.
Sure, happy to. Well, I've been around the network marketing space for 26 years. I got started in it literally right out of college. I was going to Long Beach State and was graduating and looking for a job, and I stumbled into what I thought was a job interview, and it was actually a network marketing opportunity meeting. I didn't know what network marketing was, multi-level direct sales. I didn't know really what even being an entrepreneur was. I was just trying to find a job. And I sat through this presentation, and I got excited about it. Conceptually, it just made a lot of sense to me, and I got it. I was just like, "This, who doesn't get this?" I mean, residual income, share a product, make some money, build a team, earn a percentage. I mean, wow, that's, I didn't have any like misconception or prior conception or anything. So I got started, and the first 2 years were pretty tough for me. I pretty much, I quit my job 90 days into it. Ended up moving home to live in the bunk beds at my parents' house to regroup financially. Realized I did not want to work for anybody because I went right into the work world. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do this. And I found another network marketing business. I did it differently. I built it part-time, consistent, from home. Eventually got it to where it matched and beat my income from my job, and ended up walking away from that. And I've been in it ever since. So I built 6 companies over my entire career too. Like you said, multiple 6-figure checks. I wish I would have only done one, but it just didn't work out that way for a number of reasons. And 11 years ago, I spent about 10 years with the company. They went out of business, and somebody asked me to speak. And I never thought, like, for example, I had no clue I would be doing what I'm doing. It was never part of the plan. And the guy said, hey, will you come and speak at an event? And I said, well, what do you want me to talk about? And he said, just, dude, talk about prospecting. And I said, all right. So I did. And then that was kind of like the beginning of it wasn't really a speaking career. It was like somebody invited me, and another person invited me, and another person. And then I think about 5 or 6 speaking gigs into it, somebody said, do you have a product I can buy from you? And I was like, I'm not building anything. He said, no, not a product from a network marketing company, like CDs or something. And I said, oh, no. And so I went into the studio and I produced something called How to Win in the Game of Prospecting. And I've produced like 15 different programs since then. And I've traveled now in 24 countries, speaking all over the world in network marketing. I actually just got back. I just got my 24th country, and I went to Cairo, Egypt 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
I spoke for about 10,000 people. I'm from Washington State originally, spent about 20 years in California. I've got a wife and 2 kids, 10 and 12, and live in Scottsdale right now. I'm very likely going to be moving back up to Seattle in the near future. My house is for sale here, and I'm going to move back to the Pacific Northwest and enjoy the mountains and the trees and the rivers and the streams and skiing and fishing and all that.
Come on, sounds good. I know a lot of the folks that are watching the replay are in the States, but we do have a following in the Philippines and a few different countries. I'm curious, for those that are building in the United States, what's it like when you go to those events in Egypt and in different parts of the world? Like, what I've noticed, Michelle and I have not really built internationally. The company that we've built for the last 9 years was just based in the United States. But it seems like when I've met people internationally, there's just a different hunger there. There's less entitlement there. Like, I'm just curious from your perspective, like, what do you see when you travel outside of the United States?
I think it varies from market to market. I think for sure in some of these international markets, they are extremely hungry, and they don't have the skepticism or the laziness that Americans do. And I just got to say it because there's a lot of people, they're entitled. It's like, what are you going to give me? And these people are willing to bust their butt. I mean, you get somebody in Thailand that their monthly earnings are $400 a month, our average wage, and they're in a network marketing company where their auto ships $100. They're taking a quarter of it just to stay in the game. So it's fascinating. But they, in every country that I go to, they all have the same challenges and problems and issues, and the belief issues around just being successful and self-belief and all of that. But they're hungry, they're excited, they're fun people everywhere. I mean, every country I've ever been in, they're super cool, they're fun, they're wanting to do more with their life, and that's just a fun group of people to hang out with.
Yeah, seeing the world, that's got to be good. So I collected all the questions. Michelle just got back back from dropping our daughter off, so she hasn't got to see him. So what question would you like to ask?
Why don't you look at first, because I still need to scroll.
All right, so here's one of my, we did a couple Facebook Lives this week, Todd. We like to do series, like different series. So it's, and this week we talked about leaders, great leaders ask questions, and we talked about great leaders are decisive, and then today we talked about great leaders take ownership of their responsibility. And one of the questions that I like to ask leaders, or I'm starting to, is like, as a leader, what makes you different? Because we all want to emulate different leaders and learn, you know, what we can. But I'm just curious, like, what makes you different than some of the other leaders? Is it just your drive? Is it what, like your how you were brought up, how you were raised? I'm just curious if anything comes to mind.
I mean, I grew up in a pretty, I don't know, mediocre family, I guess, from the standpoint of like earnings, and like we were very average, median income, not a whole lot of extra money. I think for me, like, it's just the drive to want to be successful and have the things that go along with it, and have the choices that come along with success, which, you know, caused me to work hard. And I think that when you work hard and you do right by people, and you know, stick to your obligations, and you say something and then you do it, and you don't let, you know, one little obstacle stop you from getting the thing that you want, and you trudge through things, you have success. So, you know, I just saw the opportunity, for example, with network marketing when I first looked at it, and just like I said, it made a lot of sense to me, and I was just willing to work hard. I was sucked at network marketing when I started. I mean, I was like pathetic, young, don't know anything kid. I mean, I was 22, and all I was doing was surfing and hanging out with my buddies and going to the beach every day. And I was going to college. I had a college education, but that's like, that's just kind of like, I mean, that's like social development. You know, it's like, yeah, sure, I use some things from school and business, but it's more about just like maturing as a human being and becoming well socialized. Kind of like when you have a dog and you have to, you know, put your dog with other dogs so they're cool to other dogs, you know, and they don't freak out leash aggression or something like that. So I don't know. I mean, I think also it's making the decision to move in a specific direction and not changing your mind, and just like, I'm going here, this is the direction I'm going, and then backing that up with consistent daily action. And then people, like maybe people that don't buy into the vision or the direction that you're going in now will eventually do it because they see that you haven't changed your mind 17 different times.
Yeah, exactly.
That's good. That's good. Okay, so I know your day probably looks a lot different now that you're in the training space more than the building space. But going back to when you were building those six-figure, you know, earnings in network marketing, what did your day look like? I know we sent out one of your videos that you posted back in 2014, how to get to six figures, or the fastest way to get to six figures. So can you shed some light on that and let us know what your DMO looked like at that time?
Yeah, I think to some extent my DMO looks kind of the same today. I mean, a little bit different activities, but I mean, I'm still prospecting every single day as a speaker and a trainer. The difference is I'm on the phone with company owners and high-level distributors in different companies. I mean, I spent most of the day today, all day today, actually just talking with high-level people, a couple company owners, a bunch of top distributors. I've always been like, even when you have a lifestyle and you can get up whenever you want to get up, I mean, there's only so many hours in the day that you can be productive in terms of being able to communicate with other people during like waking daylight hours. And so, you know, instead of like, hey, I can roll into the gym at 10 and get my workout in and go have a nice little lazy lunch and then get back to the office at 1:30 and, you know, lose 3 hours, 3.5 hours in the day. I get up, even though I don't have to get up with an alarm clock, I get up pretty much every morning with an alarm clock at 5 or 5:30, hit the gym. I'm back at my desk by 7:30 at the latest, you know, have a nice healthy breakfast, come in here, and I'm on the charge. And for me, like, whether it's doing, you know, what I do now or when I was active in the field networking, it's just like spending all of my time flipping rocks over. So I would never come into my office and go, oh, gee, who am I going to talk to? So it's always also about preparation and having your list in order, who you're going to be contacting. Like if you are sitting here going like this, twiddling your thumbs, like, gee, who am I going to talk to next? Who am I going to talk to next all day? You're just wasting time. So I was always making sure I was prepared, had plenty of people to talk to. And then I'm just, you know, honestly, I would pick this thing up and it would never shut down the whole day. I mean, I would go from call to call to call. Actually, hang on a second. Hold on. What I would actually be on, because it typically wouldn't be that, my mobile phone in my office. I still use a cordless phone in my house. So this thing is on me pretty much all day. and I can just flip from call to call to call to call. And the crazy thing is, these phone companies these days, they actually give you more than one headset. So when that one croaks out on me, I go over here and I grab the one that's behind my chair, and I just swap it out, let this one charge, and then I'm never out of business. But I'm literally on the phone flipping new rocks over all day.
That's good.
Wow, that's really good. I just got kicked in the butt, which is nice, because it's nice to hear that even if you don't have to wake up early, like I should be waking up early. Adam's good at waking up early, but I'm more of like a roll out of bed, get to the gym, and then I do my work. So anyway, I love your style of coaching, because it's like no nonsense. This is what you need to do if you want to get to this. So it's just a good reminder that I need to button it up myself. So, okay, so this is probably what people...
I don't get to ask her any questions till like after 10 a.m.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, don't talk to me right now. And her daughter is the same way. She's not a morning person. But people are probably wondering, how do you have so many people to talk to? Because I think a lot of people, especially the ones that bought the cold market prospecting product, they're like always trying to figure out, how do I get more people on my list? And I know cold market prospecting, as we all know, sometimes it takes a little bit of time. So what are some methods that you've done in a spoke of a wheel to add to your written list, so you have that many people to burn up on your phone every day?
Yeah, well, first of all, obviously, our existing warm market has it's finite, but it's also ever growing. So, we have a limited initial list that we can go through, and then it's like, okay, well, what do we do after that? But what I've always done is just made sure I'm very social, available, and create an opportunity to meet lots of new people in different ways. I mean, people go, I don't have anybody to talk to. I'm like, dude, leave your house and go someplace, do something, because people are everywhere. I mean, unless you're like in, the Arctic Circle or something like that, you can find people pretty much everywhere that you can connect with smile and an eye contact and a hello. And that doesn't mean you pitch for your business, but and then there's so many networking groups today, things like meetup.com and business functions, business mixers, chamber events. And we're not even, just talking not social media or not online stuff. And obviously, that's just a gigantic, monster, ridiculous sized network as well that is never ending. But at one point, I ran out of my warm market and I had to go to leads. This is there was no, when I first started working leads, it was 1994, I started working purchase leads. And even the crazy thing is, most of them, when I first got them, they just came with an address. You had to mail something to them, a postcard or something. They didn't have a phone number.
Wow.
They definitely had no email address, because email did not exist. Is that crazy? Email wasn't. So I would buy leads every month. And, I thought, like probably a lot of people who work leads, saying, oh my gosh, I'm going to work leads. I got 100 people, business opportunity seekers. Yeah, they're all going to join my business. And then I realized, like, most of them aren't. And so you have to change your expectations around working leads. So I was able to quickly change my expectations around working leads, my emotional attachment overall to human beings when it comes to whether they join or not. And that's something we all have to do. It's a huge thing we all have to do, is just let go of, who cares if they don't show up on a follow-up call? Big deal. Let them be the flake and let you be the professional. Just go on to another person. And so I did a lot of lead generation, purchasing leads. And, I'm not saying that that's something somebody has to do, but it's better than sitting on your butt doing nothing. So.
Yeah,
definitely. I think actually when we did that a long time ago, and I think we got your script from it, right? Remember?
Well, I've heard you on, I heard you do some live dials with Brian Carruthers. That was probably a couple months ago. And then we've watched some of your training videos. And I flipped on the camera one day, and because I got sick and tired of hearing people say that, I flipped on the camera and I said, watch this. And I went to Google and I picked a target market and I just cold called them, and I recruited a home inspector into the business. It wasn't like right then, I had to do some follow-ups and stuff like that. But it was like I could get, 20 numbers on a list and just call them and introduce myself. And the point was, it's better than nothing. If you don't have anybody to talk to, like, dial a number and say hello, and just to use that to build your confidence and to get consistent and to get a little bit better about it. Yeah,
that's what I was going to say. It's better to stay sharp anyway and keep doing it, instead of like having these moments of like no activity and you're not sharp anymore. So
because then when you run into a prospect that you're really attached to, like, you're already your saw's already sharp. All right, so I'm going to come back to this one for a minute. So Todd, let's say you've been in the industry 26 years.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're watching this webinar 26 years ago. I know you got to stay with me. You're watching this webinar 26 years ago. You're watching your future self. What do you say to yourself? What advice do you wish you would have listened to? Because you probably heard the advice, maybe you just didn't listen. But what do you, knowing what you know now, what would you have told yourself starting over?
I think the only thing that really comes to mind is don't take it too seriously. That's like the first thing that just comes to mind is don't be a grinder. I think when I first started, like in my early years, I was just like, make it happen, and it was like, dude, what's wrong with you? You're like, you're not having any fun, man. Like, why would I want to follow you? Like, you're too intense. And I'm still very, very intense, but I'm such a goofball. So like, I'm always having a good time.
Yeah.
Like looking back, I would have said, just relax, dude. Have a good time, have fun with it, and you'll get there.
That's good. A lot of people needed to hear that.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to ask one more and then Michelle can. In your book, there's something I highlighted. It says, until you buy your story, no one else is going to buy from you or do business with you. I'm going to repeat that. Until you buy your own story, no one's going to buy from you or do business with you. Can you talk? Because we could talk about scripts all day long. We could talk about fundamentals all day long. But I think you would agree, if you don't believe, have any confidence or posture, it's pretty much game over. Can you talk a little bit about how you built up your belief or how that's important? Whatever you want to speak on that topic, because I don't think we can go to step 2 until we conquer step 1, which is actually building up your own personal belief.
Yeah, in fact, that's like one of the things I speak about on almost every stage when I'm doing an event is the foundation of your success is based on your beliefs, and it's first and foremost based on your beliefs in the business model, because here you are in this business model of network marketing, and so many people in network marketing, but they don't even believe in network marketing. They've got this doubt. Well, I don't know if it's real, or maybe my aunt's right, and maybe my friend, paints houses for a living and doesn't do anything except sit on his couch is right. Maybe my mom's right. Maybe my negative friends are right. Oh my gosh. And so they're just operating from a position of doubt, and they're ashamed of, to some extent. They're in network marketing, but it's like they're ashamed of it. And so they don't, like, because the thing is, if you were totally operating from a position of belief, I mean, honestly, from a total position of belief, you wouldn't hesitate for a second to talk to anybody about it. Yeah. Because you are coming from a belief that if they choose to participate in the business model, if they choose to participate in it, and then they choose to act and do something and commit to it, their lives will never, ever be the same. And so that's like the sticky point for people, like the foundational strength point is coming from a position of belief in the network marketing profession, and then of course your products and services, the opportunity that you bring to the table, and then the belief in you varies from from person to person. I didn't have a lot of belief in myself when I started. I was young, and almost the people I was talking to were older than me. I'm thinking, my gosh, why would they want to listen to me? I'm like some young kid. I mean, I've never made any money. I've worked at Jack in the Box and McDonald's. Those are my 2 jobs. I mean, why would they want to listen to me? And so the belief in yourself comes from making the commitment to do the business, to be okay with not being perfect, because you never will be, having the willingness to make some mistakes, to trudge through and take action in spite of not being good. And over time, the consistent exposure to a specific activity, repeat it over and over and over again, like Malcolm Gladwell talks about, 10,000 hours, you get good. Mm-hmm. I mean, you can't, you have to get good at something you repeat over and over and over again, especially if you, in addition to that, made a commitment to get good. And that's part of it, because you can stay kind of in the same spot unless you're sharpening your saw.
Good stuff.
Yeah, very good. Okay, here's another question.
Rapid fire.
What do you do when you lack motivation or faith in your business? Have you ever been in a situation where you started to kind of lack faith? Like, is this really going to work? And what did you do to get over those hurdles?
Well, I'm going to answer that in 2 ways. I mean, sometimes you're, in fact, I was in that place. I was, saying, God, what's wrong with me? Why not me? How come it's happening for other people? I mean, is this ever going to happen to me? And I was in a really tough spot because I was working hard, and I know I was putting in a lot of time, effort, and energy, but I wasn't really getting the result. That's very different than just being in and being a seat warmer and not doing anything. And so I just, there was a time where I was I thought about quitting, but I thought also, I'm going to do this until I just get it figured out. I hate the fact that right now it's not working out for me, But I know that if I just keep doing this, and I don't know where that came from, but I just, I looked at other people and thought, my gosh, if they can figure it out, I'm a human being. I got to be able to figure it out too. Why can't I figure it out? Even though I was really frustrated for a period of time. And then the second thing is like losing faith. I mean, when you talk about that, I mean, sometimes you lose faith in the ownership and then in getting behind the company, the opportunity that you're in. And that's happened for me a couple of times. And that's why I've had to build different times in my profession or my career, because, the company owners were stupid and they made bad decisions and they did things that caused, people to, stop. And that's one thing from the subject of, we have to, even as a leader and as an independent distributor leader in a network marketing organization, you got to understand that everything rises and falls on confidence, right? So your confidence in your company, your people's confidence in you, and when you're staying consistent in your messaging and in your actions, people will have faith and confidence in you. And then you just serve them one time, or you do something wrong and you don't make good on something that you made a mistake on, or you change things that don't need changing, and you're just doing stupid things that cause people to go, why are you doing that? I mean, things are really good. Of course, change is a constant, and I realize that people have posted about that on my Facebook page earlier. It's like people are always fighting change, but that change, it's always happening. So stop fighting change and just learn to embrace it, because that's what life is. Life is always changing. And I guess in the losing faith of the company, you look at that's the one thing. I mean, I'll just be really straight with people on this call, because the one thing that we don't control, we can control everything that we do and ourselves and our actions every day. But the one thing in network marketing that we have zero control over is corporate decision making. And so we're independent distributors in these people's companies, and they kind of pull the strings. And so if they make mistakes, that could cause our business to suffer. So that's why it's always smart to do your best job of like picking a good company with good owners that make good decisions. And I guess to some extent, keep your fingers crossed that they stay that way. And you know what? Here's the other thing. This is an interesting little line of questioning. So what? If you spent 5 years, I mean, I get it that we want to find a company for life and never leave and nothing ever changes. And wouldn't that be great? And that would be wonderful. But so what if you spent 5, 6, 7, 8 years in a deal, made a whole bunch of money in the process, developed a tremendous amount of skills in the process, got really good, developed great relationships with people, made a ton of money, self-employed, didn't have a job, and then boom, the check goes away. And you're like, oh, that really sucks, because that happened to me. And then you're like, hey, whatever. I'm going to go find something else. I got the skills. I know how to do it, and I'll just go do it again. Yep. And I think that beats, having to work for somebody else.
Absolutely.
7 days a week.
Yeah, that's really good.
Six figures without a boss is better than 6 figures with a boss.
Yeah. So I have like a dovetail question off of that. So from the point of when you were lacking belief in yourself and you really started to make things happen, what was the change? Was it a mentor that took you on, or did you start to follow a particular person or system? What made things change for you?
I think I don't have like a single moment, but I think it was a couple of things. I committed very early on to like this whole idea of personal development. I was very resistant to it when I first started, because I was in college and I was like, I don't want to read a book anymore. I just got done reading books, and so I was kind of like pushed back-ish when I first, because I was like, dude, can I just make some money? Let's just go make some money. And I didn't get it. I didn't understand the importance of working on yourself. I think developing and working on the skill sets consistently, staying in a personal development mode every single day, like literally reading, listening to something every day that's growing me. And then I don't remember exactly where it came from, but I learned this concept of, this whole idea of acting as if. And because I found that like acting broke and desperate like I wasn't serving me very good. To join me. So I thought, well, what if I just acted like I had my together, and I did. And it wasn't like I was like, hey, check me out, dude. I make $25,000 a month and you should join me because it's cool and whatever. It wasn't because I have the money. I just thought, well, how if I was making money? And I just thought, well, I would act a little bit differently. I wouldn't be so whiny. I wouldn't chase my prospects 17 times after they hung up on me in hopes that they would, join me, and showing my desperation, which, by the way, I did pre-caller IDs day. That's later on when I studied NLP, I realized that that's actually, that's a technique called perception is projection, and people's perception of you is what you project onto them. So how you act, the things you say, the things you do is being projected onto like this video screen for them, and they're looking at it, and that becomes their reality of who you are. But you get to choose what's projected onto that screen, and that's really, really powerful.
Wow, that's really good.
Well, on the topic of personal development, do you have a favorite book, and do you have something that you're reading or listening to now that you're enjoying?
I mean,
or a couple books. You can like a couple that have been pivotal for that have been,
like How to Win Friends and Influence People is such a great book. Think and Grow Rich. Enthusiasm Makes the Difference. Influence the Psychology of Persuasion. The Greatest Secret in the World by Og Mandino. As a Man Thinketh, James Allen. I mean, there's so many different books. Like right now, it's funny because I'm sitting here. I've got my desk over here, and I've got my treadmill desk in my office because I swap back and forth. And on each desk, there's a pile of books that I'm always reading through. And then downstairs on my bedstand, there's a bunch of books as well. So I'm always rotating through different books. I'm probably rotating through like 20 different books right now.
Wow.
But probably the most life-changing ever was Don't Be That Guy. I'm just saying. Probably
you guys are, I mean, that's so funny. That book is classic. I love it.
Shameless plug.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how we basically found each other. I was like, oh my gosh, you guys are funny. You're awesome. I love it. Just the clown. There's so many clowns and people that do goofy, crazy, weird stuff. So I wrote the book on it. I love it.
Do that.
What you got? What's next?
Okay, so you have mentioned in your video that you posted about the fastest way to get to 6 figures. There's a difference between enrolling and launching a new business partner. So with that in mind, when what do you do to get your new person started, like someone that you personally sponsor? What's your onboarding process for that person to get them launched into their business? And do you spend that much time with everyone, or is there a particular level of involvement that they have to show you as well?
Let me get a quick drink of water, and I will answer that question. So, hang on.
I'm thirsty too.
You started it. It's contagious.
First of all, either way, I want to get them off to a fast start. So a fast start is let's create some success as quickly as we can, and let's get them in the black. Let's get them into profit as quickly as possible. They just put up the money to get started in the business. They're at least showing through their credit card that they want to do something. Now they've got to show it through their body and their mind that they want to actually do something. So they've got to back it up with action, but they're not really going to take action unless you kind of show them the ropes. You can't just say, hey, go ahead and make me some money, because that's probably not going to work out very well for you because they're new and they don't know what to do. So you mentioned the difference between launching and starting. Like I said, either way, I want to fast start somebody, but launching is very different because it takes a person of influence. It takes somebody who's got a large center of influence within their warm market, and they are, they can really truly launch. And that's probably a little bit more to get into than we have time for today. But I think getting somebody going today, this minute, this second, like as soon as a company spits out an ID and we just signed you up, it's like, let's go. I'm like, the first part of it is like, who do you want to talk to? Let's make a handful of calls right now. And before we've even gotten off the phone, I just enrolled you. The company just spit out an ID number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's go. Let's start making some calls. And I'll literally start making calls. I'll do a little role play with you and show you how we're going to actually make the call. But that's the important thing, is get you, making calls with you, not sending you on your way to go do it, to help you actually initiate some calls and contacts. And then I want to get you plugged into the other leadership team. So I'm going to introduce you to other people, have them welcome you aboard. It's kind of like welcoming to the family, welcome to the house, gives you an opportunity to connect with some other people, feel like more confident in your decision. Like, wow, that's really awesome. This guy signed me up and he introduced me to 4 other people that seem to be like not even freaky weird or anything. They're pretty cool, and they look like they got their stuff together. This is awesome. I feel better about my decision. I'm not having buyer's remorse. And and then of course getting them set up and plugged in with whatever tools that they need to be successful. Make sure their website's set up. Make sure the little details that need to be tended to. Getting them plugged into some type of getting started training that are going to help them get moving in the business. And obviously different people have their different ways of doing that, but some kind of simple getting started training, not something that is complex and difficult, because if it's complex and difficult, they won't do anything.
That's
Good.
That's
Good stuff. Hey, if you guys have any good questions for Todd, type it in the comments. I've got more here, but
even if you don't think it's a good question.
Well,
so just type it in.
Any questions? Good question.
This is my youngest one right here. This is Joey.
What's the name?
His name's Joey.
Yeah.
Joey, what's going on? Tell us something about your dad. What's your favorite thing about your dad? What's that?
He's my dad. Yeah.
Come on, that's a good one.
That's
He was gonna say he's a network marketing something. What?
Yeah, network. Yeah, marketing dad.
I'm a network marketing dad.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, buddy. All right, go. I'll be downstairs in a little bit.
Okay.
Love you.
Tell your family thank you for letting us have 5 hours of your time.
I have a question unless you have a question.
Well, go ahead and I'll find one here.
Okay. All right. So is there a big difference between when you recruit someone that's, I guess, lack of a better term, normal versus recruiting like a high level person that has a lot of credibility, big circle of influence, super successful? Do you have like a different posture, or is it all the same?
I mean, the posture is the same. I think with someone who's got that kind of influence and pull within their warm, like somebody who's really been successful, they can do a launch party, for example, or a launch to their business, or their initial phase of growth by just like engaging people in conversation and signing a whole bunch of people up. And like if they invited 20 people are going to show up because they're like, okay, I got to find out what this guy's up to, because everything this guy does turns to gold. So you first have to find out, even though they're able to do that, like they're a person of influence, are they ready to do it? Because that's the other part. You might sign somebody up who's super influential, but then they're really not ready to be launched, like do a formal big major launch. So that's something that I figure out in the initial discussion when they're getting up and running. So to find out if they're really ready to do some kind of really aggressive, concentrated launch. And that's very different because you're compressing a lot of activity into a short period of time, and you get a lot bigger result that way, but it takes a lot of work to do it.
Where do you find them usually? And do you take your time with influential people before you introduce the business to them? Like you build a strong trust and relationship first, or does a lot of times do you bring it up right away?
I think there's always got to be a little bit of trust and rapport with somebody, like before we segue into like a peak interest question about a business opportunity. Obviously, like one of the things I teach and I do, and this is a little bit off of that, is like I teach people how to recruit up the socioeconomic chain, going to professional people, and that's a cold market strategy where we're calling people that we don't yet know, and that's like it's literally a direct question. I'm calling a realtor. Hey, look, I'm looking at your smiling face on your website. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm expanding my business down into Texas. And I just want to give you a call and ask you a simple question. Do you at all keep your options open in terms of making money outside of what you're currently doing as a real estate professional? I've never said that script before in my life, obviously. So that's funny.
I hope y'all got that, because that's a really golden script.
Super fast. But I don't like wait, like just because somebody's super influential or professional, I don't wait longer, or I feel it's just like finding out if there's like either potential need or want or desire, and then bringing it up. So I think that's just after some trust is developed and they're feeling good about you, and so rapport building is an essential skill. In fact, in the book that you have, I talk about the first thing I talk about in that book is rapport building and connecting, and the importance of learning how to be good at that. So
yeah, that's good. That's really good, because recruiting the influential people, you just never, I find that they don't have like the circle of influence that calls a pyramid and is like super skeptical, and so, or doesn't have the money to get started. So
you're getting requests to repeat that. Can you repeat it slower?
So
like if I'm looking at your smiling face on your website, I'm an entrepreneur. That one.
I mean, how slow? No, I'm teasing. I can't help it. I'm just I'm kind of a jokester. Okay, so the peak interest question. Basically, if I was calling a realtor, I'm looking at their website, I'm looking at their smiling face. I'm like, hey, is Bob in? Yeah, this is Bob. Hey, Bob, Todd Falcone here, Scottsdale, Arizona. How you doing? He's like, good. What can I do for you? I said, hey, I was just on your website with Coldwell Banker. I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm in the process of growing my business down into the state of Texas. I happen to do a lot of work with people in the real estate community, and I just have a simple question for you, and that is, do you at all keep your options open in terms of making any money outside of what you're currently doing as a real estate professional.
Boom.
Yep.
It's either yes, no, maybe, what you got, and then you get to go from there.
That's yes, and if it's yes, you go. If it's maybe or it depends, that's just a yes with a qualifier on it, or no. And if it's
here's my question for you, because I've done a lot of those calls, and I want to learn from you tonight. Let's say, yeah, I do leave my options open. What do you got? Now, there's a big difference between presenting, right, and then inviting. So from there, with all the technology, most people have videos now. Do you get into much over the phone? Is your goal to get off the phone onto a video? Kind of just walk us through a few of those tips, because what a lot of people would do is they go, yeah, what do you got? I got a company and it started here, and then it's 7 levels deep, and I blah, 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 and they throw up all over them. Like, so don't be that guy, right? So kind of give us some tips on that.
Yeah, no, the first thing I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm never going to be put into a corner and I'm going to be required to tell you what the name of my company is so I can continue the conversation with you. I mean, I'm not a salesperson. I'm not trying to sell you something. I'm not calling you from a phone room. I'm not a telemarketer. I'm a business person, and I'm looking to identify somebody else who might be looking for a great business idea is my thought process. So when they say, well, yeah, I am, but what do you got? My first thing is, how much time have you got right now? I know I'm catching you out of the blue and you weren't expecting my call. Well, I only got 2 minutes. And I'm like, well, that's cool. Why don't I do this? The best thing for me to do is get some information to you. That'll do a great job of disseminating information about my company and what's involved and what it entails. And that way you can see the whole picture, because honestly, I couldn't even explain it to you in 2 minutes. It's really, I mean, you can't really explain any legitimate business in a couple minutes. So if you had more time, I could get into it, but 2 minutes, I mean, it's probably easier for me to just get the video off to you. If you got an email, I'll be happy to drop an email off to you.
Good.
So what if they said, I got all the time in the world? Would you present it over the phone?
No, I wouldn't present it in the world, or present it at that time. I would use that time to build a little bit of rapport. And my first question might be, well, Adam, let me ask you a question. You said yes to that, the question, and I see that you've been in real estate for the last 12 years. What would cause you to say yes to that question?
That's good.
Wow.
That's good. Well, I'm just tired of doing open houses every weekend. I don't get to see my family as much as I want to.
I hear you. And then I could go into however the conversation is going to go, but it's an opportunity to develop some rapport. And even then, like, we get into some rapport building, and my whole thing with that is just like getting the guy to feel better about me, and like that I'm actually nice and professional, and I'm not some schmuck who is just calling to close them on something or whatever. And then still I'll use the tool or tools to do the never do like manually. Well, let me tell you about our company. The company was founded here. Company's based here. We capitalize on these markets, and we do this, and this is the type of compensation. That's like, I mean, it's great for you to be able to do that. I think if you're going to be a pro in network marketing, you should be able to be able to communicate about your opportunity. But we got tools that do that, and the tools are consistent, so use them.
That's good stuff. I've been with people, team members in my car, where we'll be driving. There'll be a magnet on the freeway. I'll be like, hey, watch that. Just call them. I mean, you got time to kill, right? Nothing's going to happen. I mean, you might meet somebody, you might not. And it's just it's good practice. It's good, a good time to grow. And speaking of growing, I had a 6-figure earner text me a question today for you. And they want to know, from 6 figures to 7 figures a year is a huge difference. Mostly, probably, my guess would be mostly discipline and, doing the right things, but paying a bigger price. Do you have any tips for them from going from 6 figures to 7 figures? Because there is a huge gap. I'd be curious on your thoughts.
Yeah, well, most people get comfortable, and they get to a point they're making 100, 200, 300 a year, and they're doing pretty good. I mean, you can live pretty good on a couple $100,000 a year in most parts of the world. And then you're like, wow, this is pretty cool. I don't have to like prospect as much, and I can chill out, and I can just work with the team members. And then all of a sudden your company was going, and then it goes, you're coasting, and then it goes like this. So I think when you can not allow yourself to get, I mean, you can give yourself a little break and have some fun. I mean, you work hard to get to a couple $100,000 a year. It's not like you can't go play, but you can't go into retirement mode. And then the other problem is, like, if you're running like this and you're running really fast, you got this group of people that they're trying to keep up with you, and all of a sudden you slow down, and now they're all like piling up behind you, and they can only go as far as, like, they're all jamming up to you, like, hey, we need our leader to go further. So we
That's really good.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Well, I've got other questions, but I want to see if anybody has any questions, or what are some of the topics? Like, what are the questions you've been getting lately, Todd? When you've been traveling around, like when you're at lunch or on breaks between some of your sessions, what questions are you getting? Because I know sometimes in a group, people are hesitant to ask a question. And the people that are on this webinar, they bought our Undercover Recruiter product that we did a day of prospecting in the cold market. So these people obviously want to grow. They're hungry to grow, but maybe they won't ask a question in a group setting. So what questions are you getting in the one-on-one, when you're running?
Hang on. Hang on.
He'll be back.
I'm here. Let's see.
Oh, wow.
How to grow your business. How do you grow your business when you don't have any warm market and zero budget? How do you launch a new representative? How do I build confidence and belief? How do I do my follow-up and for how long? What happens when you hit a brick wall? How do you get better at closing? How do you keep your people focused? How do you build in depth? How do you eliminate distractions? That's what it takes to be number one in your company. How do you keep your team focused? What's your DMO?
Let's talk about team focused.
That's a good one too.
Because my guess is you don't babysit, so I'd love to hear your answer.
Oh yeah, yeah, I love that.
I mean, you keep the team focused by being a driver and working hard and fast and furious and showing that you're moving in a direction and that you're going in this direction and you're not slowing down and you're going to bring the people that are willing and that want to do it and the ones that aren't. I mean, I don't have time to wait around for you. You either got to, like, I'll help you when you decide you want to do something. You've got all the basic tools already, but you got to actually get out of bed and stand up and put your pants on and walk to the kitchen and make yourself some breakfast and start your day in order for you to be successful. So I think, keeping the team focused is really about, if I'm building in the field, I'm working with my people that are active. I'm constantly engaged with them. I'm very well connected to those people. Like, I've got a whiteboard over here. I've got this gigantic whiteboard. When I'm, in a network marketing business and building a team, that thing's filled up with, the key people's names that are in the organization. Like, if I was a binary compensation plan, I'd divide the whiteboard in half and put my, person on my left on the top and my person on the right on the other top, and then any of the other people that are doing, that are active, that are building, that are producing. I am going to put those people's names and phone numbers on my whiteboard. Yeah, I know what's in the genealogy report, and I understand that I can access it in this little cool device, but then it's buried. So I can be sitting at my desk over here and look up and I go, I need to give Ted a call today. Not have to go through the genealogy. Oh my gosh, what was that guy's name that I met who's on my 6th level that, sponsored a bunch of people? Oh man, what was that guy's name? Oh geez, now I'm spending 20 minutes trying to remember the guy's name and his phone number. It's stupid. That's bad management. Or I'm trying to dig through the genealogy list, trying to find the person. Instead, no, I just look up. So staying connected with the people that are on the team and working. And then one of the very first things I learned so early on is it's like I almost take it for granted that everybody knows it, but I don't know that they do. And that's the whole phrase of work where you're deserved, not where you're needed. You're spending time with people that are showing up, not with the ones that, everybody needs a little help, but you have to be working with the ones that are the willing, not the ones that keep making excuses as to why they can't even go through the getting started training.
Yeah. How long did it take you to learn that? Because I know for us, it took a couple years to be able to kind of let go. Like, we felt responsible. So there might be some newer folks on here that are just like, they feel like they got to bring everybody with them. Did it take you a while to adopt that mindset, or?
No, not really a long time. It probably I learned it in my first couple years, and I learned it through experience. I sponsored my friend Tom Bennett, and he was showing up, and he was building, and he was bringing people to meetings, and he was like the one guy that was engaged. And then I sponsored this guy, Rob Weiner, and his last name wasn't Weiner, but it's the only name I could give him now because all he did was whine. Literally, the box is broken, it's bent, the crop, and it was just ugly. And I was like, I'm sitting there trying to give him CPR. I'm like, dude, don't worry, come on, wake up. It'll be better. Come on. And I'm trying to wake the guy up, and I should have been spending all my time with Tom because he was showing up. But because, you have to sponsor more than one person to rise and rank in any compensation plan. you know, I got Tom going. I got to get this guy going because if I get some volume out of this guy, then I can rise in rank. And that's, I mean, I get that, but you know, screw it. I think instead of sitting here working with a whiner, go sponsor somebody else who's another Tom and spend your time working with the Toms.
Well, your technique on the mouth to mouth, that's probably where you went wrong. You could have resuscitated him.
Oh,
good,
man.
good stuff. All right.
Good stuff. I have a question.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think these days a lot of people they avoid going to the warm market. You know, they try and go straight to cold. They try and go straight to just social media. So can you just talk about the importance of warm market? Going to your warm market, and is there a particular script that you recommend people using so they're not butchering the people like their friends and family?
Well, I mean, I think there's definitely a way of approaching warm market where you don't ever have to be part of the NFL, you know, alienation club. So I don't know. I mean, that there's necessarily I think that if you're going to start in network marketing, the best place is to start with your warm market because there's trust. They know you.
Yeah.
The rapport is already built. I mean, these are people that already know you. They like you. They're your friends or your family members. And I realize that they can be negative, and maybe, you know, my mom was negative. Most of my friends were negative, but at least I'm going to go ask. I mean, going and trying to build it with strangers when you don't even know what to do yet, I think it's kind of ridiculous. Get some success or at least some practice with your warm market. And I mean, I don't know. My thought was always like, hey, if I found a gold mine in my backyard, am I going to call a bunch of strangers, or am I going to call my loved ones that I dig and show, hey, man, I got all this gold in my backyard. There's more than enough for all of us to handle. Go get some.
Yeah, that's good. We do have a question that popped up. I don't know. Can you see that?
Can you see the questions or no?
From Joanne McDermott.
How do you follow up with a prospect that has not said yes? I mean, I don't follow up with a prospect that hasn't said yes to looking at the business. I mean, if they haven't said, yeah, I'm open or interested, I'm not going to really follow up with them now. I might get back with them later. But for now, I'm going to go talk to somebody that is at least interested in taking a look. You know, if they haven't said yes to the opportunity, but I don't know exactly what the question is because it's printed, but if they haven't said yes to starting in the business, but they're in process, how do I follow up with them? I'm just going to schedule it. I'm going to get them whatever additional information that they feel that they need in order to make a relaxed decision for themselves, not a pressured decision, and then schedule a time to get back to them as quickly as possible. It depends, but you know, I want to get to them as soon as they've looked at, reviewed, or whatever the information that they needed, so that I'm getting back to them on that next call, you know, right after they've read it, watched it, listened to it, etc.
What do you do when someone was like, they agreed to take a look, they looked, and you know, you're trying to follow up with them, get them back on the phone? Do you have a particular method where, oh, I only follow up with them 3 times and then I give them like the last chance, you know, voicemail, or how do you handle a situation like that?
I mean, if you want to give yourself a rule, I'm probably a little bit more impatient than most of the people here, so I'll probably stop at 2 and then back burner them. But if you want to give yourself a rule, because it's got a nice little ring to it, 3 strikes and you're out. So you and I chatted. You said you were interested. I showed you some information about the company. You're like, wow, that looks pretty cool. And you needed to get some more information, so I sent you a full corporate overview and maybe a compensation plan, description, and explanation, whatever, if that was the case. And we have a scheduled time to talk on Wednesday, and I call you back on Wednesday, and you're not there. Well, you just broke a promise because you told me you're going to be there, and I actually teach that in my book. I go through in that book that you were holding, I go through the exact follow-up process that I do to ensure that more people do show up on follow-up calls. And, I mean, I still get no-shows, but I get a higher percentage of people that show up. But then when they don't show up, they've already broken a promise to me because they, A, said that they were going to be there, and B, they said if something did come up prior to our appointment that they would let me know, and now they didn't do either, and this is the case of a no-show either. So, but if they show up, it's a good sign. So they don't show up, I'm going to leave you a message. I'm going to be nice, and then I'm going to give you about probably 24 to 48 hours. I'm going to call you back a second time, leave another message, and then I'm waiting for a call. And then the last time, I'll probably wait 5 to 7 days, and I'll get back to you. And it's none of it's pressure, none of it's me in desperation. You know, the last call might be, hey, you know, Ron, Todd Falcone getting back to you. We spoke about a week or so ago, tried to catch you a couple times. And you know, at the time we first chatted, you're pretty interested in what we were doing with the business. And if, you know, things have changed, that's cool. But if you still want to chat, give me a buzz. Here's my number. I know you got it, but I'll give it to you again. And if I hear from you, great. If not, best of luck to you. And then I'll back burner them for somewhere, 3 to 6 months down the road, and I'll just drop them in my calendar someplace. because I wouldn't have talked to you or even attempted to follow up with you anyhow if I didn't think you were a good prospect. So if I think you're just not somebody that you're not the type of person I'm looking to put into my business, I won't even schedule a follow-up call.
That's good. That's good stuff, guys.
So we got about 8 minutes left,
Yeah.
and I want to ask you one question, then have you talk a little bit about your book and that other 25 common or 25 biggest mistakes. So in the book, I've got it underlined, starred. I did read it. I got notes. Okay, I like to highlight. It says, if you say you're going to do something, do it. Too often I see people in this business that initiate but don't finish. The business comes to those who finish what they started.
That's good.
Now, I'm not sure if you've ever had anybody talk you off the cliff, Todd, like where you've wanted to quit. I think we've all had days when we wanted to quit. But, you know, I've talked to a few people off the cliff that are now pretty successful. And not that we try to like babysit, but sometimes they just need a little pep talk. Tonight was designed, you know, for more gold nuggets, but there's always probably a few people on here that are like,
I need to hear something.
I need to hear something. I need some hope. And so I was hoping just from the heart for a minute, and they could talk a little bit about your book. If they're at that point where they're like, they need to be talked off the cliff, like think about if you wouldn't have pursued network marketing 26 years ago, your life looked a whole lot different. You would have probably not visited 24 countries. You would have probably visited one, the United States. And you wouldn't be a stay-at-home dad. I mean, you're on the road sometimes, but you get to choose and make your schedule. So just talk a little bit about like why they need to stick it out if it's, you know, if they're willing to pay the price.
Yeah. Well, first of all, like you brought something up and explained that. Like I wouldn't have probably traveled 24 countries and I wouldn't be a stay-at-home dad necessarily, but I would have been successful in whatever I would have done because I have the work ethic and I'm willing to just do it until you can't really. It's hard for you to outwork me. So that is also part of that picture that in helping people like off of that cliff. Like, look, you know what? I realize that maybe it's not happening for you yet or happening for you as fast as you wanted to, but are you really giving this your all? And how long have you given it your all? And the reality is that success is a process. It's a journey. It's not a destination. It takes time. Success takes time. Skills take time. People take time. Volume takes time to accumulate. And you have to exercise patience in the midst of all that. And I realize how frustrating it can be because you're used to working 2 weeks and get a check, work 2 weeks and get a check, work 2 weeks and get a check. But here it doesn't work that way. You're paid on the value you bring into the marketplace. You've got to continue to work on yourself and adding the value you bring into the marketplace and keep your chin up in spite of maybe not seeing the result that you're getting. And don't be foolish and quit your job. Don't quit your day job so that you're in a position of desperation, because when you're in a position of desperation, it's not a good position to be in, and you're not going to be really easily able to succeed because you're so worried about just making ends meet. So keep your job, do your network marketing business seriously, part-time. Don't treat it as a hobby, and you won't have to worry about it, because then you'd be like, hey, I'm 2 years in this network marketing business. No, I'm not rich yet, but I'm still making 50, 60K a year in my job, and I'm making an extra $1,000 a month in my network marketing business, and I'm doing it part-time. That, like, you'd look at that and go, that's actually pretty good. You know, maybe you're not, $50,000 a month, but you're really not putting $50,000 a month effort into it. So I think a lot of it is about exercising patience along the journey. And then the other thing I think is people, and we do this because this is just what we do as humans, we compare ourselves to other people, and somebody speeds past us, and I had it happen to me in the first company I was in. I was like, wow, this guy's like blowing it up, and I've been here for over a year, and he's doing way more than I ever did in the whole year, and he did it in a month. And that can be a little, disheartening, but everybody's different, and they're not you and you're not them. And it's going to happen for you on your time, but it will never happen for you if you stop. So.
That's right.
Good.
That's
Boom.
good stuff.
Mic drop.
Right. So if you scroll down, you can click on offers. I got a link here, Todd, that takes you to toddfalcone.com where they can get some info on your book. And then there's also a link for them to get info on the 25 biggest mistakes. You want to share anything about that, how the book's doing and what the feedback is?
Yeah, the book's doing really well. We didn't do like an official big giant launch. We just released it and started selling it, and we've sold an awful lot. I don't count. I don't know how many, but many thousands of the books have been sold. And I wrote the book to be a very simple, easy to understand read. It gets right to the point from the first page. It's not like, okay, when are you going to finally get to it, Todd? I mean, every single page in that book is how-to content, and it covers areas of like rapport building and connecting, inviting, understanding how to invite with ease, deal with literally every single objection, understand the follow-up process, and understand how to effectively enroll or close somebody into your business. So it's a very how-to book. I think it's like 109 pages, so it's an easy read. You can probably read it in a day, and I designed it to be a training tool that you can use for you and use with people on your team. So that's you can get it at my site on the link below. When we launched I mean, I guess that's not even in effect really the right term, but when we started selling the book, we made it available where you can just pay shipping and handling, and then the book is free. So you can go to my site, that link below. It's on the front page of the site. You just pay the $9.95 in shipping and handling, and we'll send you the book. And then the other thing is I did a little mini training called 25 Biggest Mistakes Most Network Marketers Make and How to Avoid Them. And because I've got a lot of years under my belt, 26 years, and I got a chance to see a lot of mistakes people make repeatedly over and over again. And I came up with a list of the most common mistakes people make that cause them to lose money or not make money, and give you tips on exactly how to avoid those. So that other link is just a free PDF download where you can grab that report and just look at it and learn from it. So
awesome.
I'm gonna download that tonight, and I'll probably be sharing it on some Facebook Lives.
I do want to mention, because this is going to be loaded into the back office, the training portal, for anyone in the future that also purchases the Undercover Recruiter. So this is cool. That's evergreen. They're not going to have a link there. So can you just state your website where they could go for all this wonderful stuff?
Yeah, toddfalcone.com. In fact, I'll just type it here for the people that can see it that are part of it. But it's TODDFALCONE.com, toddfalcone.com.
All right.
Awesome. And I think it's toddfalcone.com/25, right? For the other one?
Yeah, for the 25 biggest mistakes, yeah.
Right on. And then just so you can sleep better at night, we did a poll just for fun. If I could live anywhere, my main house would be 33% said the beach, 16% said the mountains, 16% in a major city. Nobody wanted to live in a van down by the river. And 25% said, I'm never moving again. I don't care how much money I make.
Oh, I wonder
some
where
people just hate moving. Hey, Todd, I want to thank you, bro, for being on here, for carving an hour. That's a lot.
Wow.
An hour out of your time. But there's going to be a lot of people catching this on the replay. And I just thank you for investing into and some of the people that we've had the honor to lead. And we will look forward to seeing you at an event real soon, brother. So if we can help you in any way, please let us know. And other than that, God bless you guys.
My pleasure. And Adam and Michelle, I appreciate you guys for having me on. And keep charging and keep doing what you're doing, because you're doing a great job.
Will do. Talk to you guys later. Hey, drop a thank you in the comment bar. Thank you. Let's thank Todd and show him some appreciation. Awesome, guys. Thanks for jumping on.
Thank you.